p.m. in California, where we are right now. And I am really excited about today's episode. I think it's going to be a really fun one. We have a very special guest who's been willing to join us today on the show and talk some shop. And first of all, just want to make sure we're getting your comments. If you are tuning in live, just, add a comment there below. If you're watching, let us know where you're watching from. Where are you tuning in from? What city or what country? And, maybe a little bit, just say hello, say your name or say hi. We will definitely be looking at those comments during the broadcast today, and we're going to be taking your questions. We'll leave some time at the end for questions and answers and so forth. So get engaged, get active. We have some team members here on standby. They'll be watching the comments, can answer questions directly, and we'll be taking some on air as well. But without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest for today, Mr. Guy Kawasaki from Redwood City, California, not too far away from us, but we are remoting him in through Skype and using our new tech talk show box, which allows us to do high broadcast quality Skype calls remotely. And so we're bringing him in. So, Guy, are you there? You on the line here? Let's bring you on.
Let's rock and roll.
There you are. Welcome.
Alrighty.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so you're getting about the same weather we are here, I suppose, us being in just about 3 hours.
I'll just screw up your production right now.
Thanks.
My style.
Nice. It's looking good. It's looking good. We're happy. Although it is getting a little chillier, but some people have said that I believe the drought warnings, that we've got to actually watch ourselves, start conserving water again, because we may not be out of this drought just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard anyway.
So don't wash your Lamborghini every day.
Exactly. Come on, Guy. You need to, or your Mercedes. So, Guy, I just want to just first of all say thanks for being here, and maybe give just a little bit of background for folks who may not be as familiar with you or your career or your work. Who are you? Why should we care?
Well, yeah, good question. The two are not necessarily related. So I am currently the chief evangelist of Canva. Canva is an online graphics design service out of Sydney, Australia. I am a brand ambassador for Mercedes, which means they pay me to drive their car. And finally, I'm on the board of trustees of Wikipedia, or Wikimedia, actually. Mm-hmm. So those are the three primary things that I affiliate with. And I've written about 13 books, and I speak all the time. And for me, social media is one of my core functions in life. And in particular, I love Facebook, and in particular, I love Facebook Live. So in particular, I love Wirecast because it enables me to do things with Facebook Live that, as far as I know, you cannot do any other way.
Right. That was one of our really kind of a big feather in our cap when Facebook approached us to integrate our Wirecast software with their platform. I mean, just 1 out of every 6 people in the world is using Facebook, so it was a big deal for us. We wanted to make sure that we got it right, and we were able to do shows like this one on Facebook using Wirecast production software. So what people are seeing right now, what you're seeing on your screen, is all being powered through Wirecast. And that's actually the reason we even started this show, was just to get people in the habit of seeing what was possible on Facebook Live using production software. So this is hopefully the results speak for themselves.
I've just been so happy with Wirecast. When I do live broadcasts, I play a little pre-roll. Then I bring in and I use another shot, which is this shot, sort of the desktop camera shot. And then I show a desktop app, or I show my desktop in total. Then I play a post roll. We've come a long way from simply holding up your camera and going live.
Right. And there's still a place for that from time to time. I definitely think you want to be able to go mobile when you need to, but man, yeah, it's nice to be able to switch between whatever source you happen to need at the time, particularly in, I think, our business, when software is what we're trying to show people.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Well, for me, I don't know of a better way to show an iOS app, because you guys, you take the feed from an iOS device, and so when Canva introduces the iPhone version of Canva, I used Wirecast because I can grab the video output. It's not like I'm holding a phone, taking a video of another phone, you know?
Right,
And
exactly.
uh, it's the best way to introduce an iOS app, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, that was pretty cool. So you, as the evangelist for Canva, kind of got us into Canva up here, which is
Yeah.
we kind of like consider it like Photoshop, like easy to use Photoshop. Like it's just
Yeah.
so simple and it's all web based, and we can share everything. And a lot of the images that we use for our broadcast announcements, the ones that people were watching or seeing for this show, even we used Canva to create because it's just
Really
easy. They've got all the
fantastic.
templates, yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
really turned us. But when they announced their iOS app, their mobile app, that was pretty cool to be watching your demos as you were switching to your phone, going through, showing them how to do stuff, and
Yeah.
then seamlessly going back to your camera and your desktop. So I was pretty impressed. We're glad we could help you with that.
Thank you.
Let me just get a little bit into, you've had a long career in Silicon Valley. You've been around the tech industry for a long time. You've seen a lot of stuff. You've learned a lot of lessons. You've become kind of a guru. Personally, I think I told you this early on when we were first talking that I had taken a lot of the notes for what an evangelist should be, kind of from your book and how you operate as an evangelist. So could you just
No wonder you're so good at what you do.
yeah, well, yeah, you can thank yourself for that. Like any good marketer.
Thank you. I'll pat myself on the back.
So, can you just talk a little bit about your approach to marketing and evangelism in general? What is it that you see as the critical roles of an evangelist?
So evangelism comes from Greek word meaning bringing the good news. And I've been a chief evangelist twice in my career, once for Apple, Macintosh, and the second time for Canva. And so it's a lot of things have to come together for evangelism to work. But the most important thing is a great product because it's very easy to evangelize a great product. It's very hard to evangelize shit. So that's, principle number one. Don't try to evangelize shit. Uh, so when you can have a great product or service, and I would put Wirecast in that category, that is good news. That it's not about, me making my quota, me making my commission. I want you to use Macintosh because it's going to make you more creative and productive. I want you to use Canva because it's going to make you have more beautiful graphics. And I want you to use Wirecast because I think it'll make you better at Facebook Live. And so, yes, I will profit if you bought a Macintosh or if you use Canva, but that's not the only reason why I'm telling you to use those products. It's because I truly do believe they will improve your life.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. I feel like whenever I'm sharing Wirecast with anybody, yourself
Mhm.
included, it's just really easy to talk about because the benefits are just obvious to people, and once they get going with it, they go, "Wow, this did exactly what I wanted it to do. It did more than I expected it to. I'm so happy you showed me this, and it was well worth the money that I paid for it." So it just yeah, it gives you a good feeling. It makes you feel like you're improving people's lives, and yeah, the product kind of spreads itself. So I definitely agree with
There you
that. I feel
go.
like it's sharing the good news is kind of what we like to do here.
Are you getting a lot of traction with Wirecast because of Facebook Live?
Yeah, yeah. I'd say it's our number one destination, question and request. Like, I want to go to Facebook. How do I stream to Facebook? I've heard that Facebook Live works with Wirecast. What can we do? That's just been a really big, just a big response. And before that, obviously, we were working with YouTube for a very long time,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's a lot of people that come to us from YouTube as well. But they're different types of broadcasters, and they're looking for different things. So the Facebook is kind of still sort of Wild West territory. People are still figuring out what the advantages of it are, how it works for them as a company or an individual or for a brand for broadcasting. So actually, that was on my list of questions for you. You obviously, I mean, you even attend the Facebook talks. You have some contacts at Facebook, and you work with Facebook a lot, and you've pretty much gone solely to Facebook as for most of your live broadcasts now, right? So why is it? What is it that you see the advantages of the platform are, and
Well,
why should people be broadcasting to Facebook for sure?
sure. So, I jumped on Periscope and I jumped on Meerkat immediately, and I just noticed that I have about, I don't know, 350,000 people or followers on Facebook, and I have about 1.5 million on Twitter. So I have, let's say, 5 times more Twitter followers than Facebook followers. But I noticed that whenever I did a Facebook Live, I get about 30 times more engagement, sharing, comments, likes, whatever, on a Facebook Live than on a Periscope. So if you do the math, I'm getting, let's call it 25 to make it more conservative. I get 25 times more engagement on a platform that I have 1/5 the number of followers. That's not a slight difference. That is a humongous difference. And so, when Periscope started, you couldn't really archive it. You didn't store it anywhere. It was gone. A lot of these things have changed. Maybe I should do another experiment where I literally would do a Periscope, in the Periscope, and do a Facebook Live, same topic, within minutes of each other. And there was such a disparity that at some point I said, well, I'll just do Facebook Live and, whatever. Mm-hmm. So maybe I should revisit that discussion. And, Wirecast doesn't work with Periscope, right?
Right. Yeah.
So forget.
At this time, yeah, you're going to be limited. Although if anyone from Periscope's watching, we're definitely interested. So, we'll be happy to talk to anybody who wants good production value on their platforms. But I could totally see where you're coming from with that. I think that the Facebook community, the sharing tools, particularly the archiving. I mean, if people want to watch something on demand more than a day or two later, that was a big deal. On Facebook, It's easy to share this link, this video that we're watching right now. But on Periscope, that was not as easy. You also have maybe a finer cross-section of followers, people who are engaged. I mean, you've got people right now, we are commenting on this feed. They're watching from Houston, from Greece, from Philadelphia, Norway. So, I mean, you're the real fans are going to maybe be a little more engaged, whereas on Twitter, there's a lot more noise to cut through. Yeah. On Facebook, you can kind of tune into the pages or the people that you want to follow a little bit better.
Yeah, so, I barely have time to do all the Facebook Lives that I want to do. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't have time to do the Facebook Lives I want to do and Periscopes.
Right.
So, I have to pick one, and so it's, the level of engagement plus the fact that with Wirecast, I can have a pre-roll, I can show iOS device, I can show desktop, I can show a specific window of a specific application, I can have a post-roll. It's hard to beat that. What can I say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a good combination. That's true. So, we're going to be talking more about the Facebook Live integration. We're actually going to be at Streaming Media West in the beginning of November, talking specifically on this topic: why Facebook Live, how Facebook Live. Facebook has really been pushing live video a lot. Like that's kind of their go-to, and there's been some reports that you're far more likely to get more shares and more views if you're using a live video feed or posting live content than you are with a picture or with pre-recorded content or just a comment. So can you talk a little bit about your experience with that? Have you noticed a huge disparity?
Yeah. So what I've seen is the comparison that I do is if I embed a YouTube video, let's say I get a reach of X. If I upload that video directly to Facebook, natively to Facebook, I get 3X the reach. And then if I do a Facebook Live video, as opposed to uploading a pre-existing video, mm-hmm. I would say I get maybe another 3 to 5X. So by far, the best reach I get is Facebook Live. So Facebook, if you took the extremes of Facebook Live versus embedding YouTube video, it's probably 10 to 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like all these experts in marketing, they're trying to get you a 10 or 15% improvement. Well, this is 1,000-time improvement, right? So this is kind of a duhism. You don't have to be a genius to figure out, I can get X or I can get 10X. What should I do? Shucks.
Yeah, I mean, are you kind of keeping track? Like, how should a marketer or a good evangelist benchmark their performance? I mean, are you really like, do you have like a ledger where you're keeping track of, I did this
No,
broadcast on this date? Or are you like, what numbers do you like to watch? How do you know that you're succeeding at spreading the good news?
I just look at reach and views. That's all I care. I don't. I never look at analytics. I never look at stats. Maybe everything I just said is bullshit and is wrong at this point. Um, but I don't like I Facebook Live a speech that I gave yesterday in Washington D.C. It was for the Project Time Off convention. So this is a group of people who are trying to encourage people to take vacation. What a great topic.
Right.
So I probably reached, I don't know, 75,000 people. Now that doesn't mean 75,000 people watched it, but I could reach 75,000 people. And to put this into context, if you are one of 30 articles in TechCrunch or Verge one day, I suppose that they can say, we have 1 million subscribers or 2 million subscribers, but how many people actually read the article? Being one of 50 that day, boy,
Right.
I'm not saying if you're a marketer, I'm not saying you should give up and not try to get articles in TechCrunch and Verge and all that, but wow. The ability to blast out live video showing your desktop or your iOS device can't be beat. And I would rather, I'd rather reach 5,000 people with an iOS Canva demo than to have an article in one of those publications that basically disappears after 24 hours.
Right. Right. Yeah, and obviously, if any good marketer worth their salt would want to be in as many locations as possible at any given time,
Yeah.
and you only have the ability to pick, 5 or 10 at a time, and you kind of have to pick the ones you think will be the most effective, or find your audience the best. What is it?
Well, I mean, also,
Mhm.
frankly, Facebook Live is free, right? So, what's the true cost?
Exactly.
An hour of your time? Now, you have a whole production going there, right? So you got people helping you and all that. But on my end, I opened up my laptop. When I do Facebook Live, it's not like I have a production staff.
Mm-hmm.
I open up my laptop, I boot Wirecast, or I use my phone, and I'm really sophisticated. I got a tripod, right? So I'm ahead of 90% of people. And sometimes I use a gimbal, and that's it. So it's like having your own TV station.
Yeah, so tell me about that, because I think your approach is different from everyone on Facebook is a little different from other people. Some people are really into the production value, and that's where they really want to spend a lot of their money and their time and their
Yeah.
concern. We try to strike a bit of a balance. We want a nice production, but
Yeah.
we don't want it to cost an arm and a leg. And so you on the other end seem to be like, just give me audio, give me video, and let's go. Is that a
Well,
conscious choice on your part, or is it something that you like stylistically you're going for?
well, um, I I don't have the kind of high production value that I'm not Martha Stewart, right? So I don't have a crew. I don't have people like spraying the glistening powder on top of the food and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Um, on the other hand, I'm not some clueless putz who's just like opening up his camera and shaking and
Right.
oh, watch me do email for an hour because that's so fascinating for you. So I'm not that low. The fact that I use Wirecast probably puts me ahead of 99% of the people using Facebook Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
who else has pre and post roll and all that kind of stuff? So I wouldn't say I'm exactly Martha Stewart or ESPN. On the other hand, I'm not, Joe Blow the shitbagger, and just trying to broadcast. Look at look at the fountain outside my door. I am trying to use Facebook Live as a marketing platform.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Facebook Live is probably the most powerful marketing platform I have today.
What is it that you do to try to reach new eyeballs, people that may not have ever seen Canva or you before? How are you trying to get those live broadcasts out even further beyond, say, your normal circle?
Uh, I have a romantic, naive, maybe stupid philosophy, which is if you broadcast good shit, people will find it. So that's what I try to do. A lot of my live broadcasts, they're based on my books. So I would handle a topic like how to get a standing ovation, how to pitch a venture capitalist, how to be enchanting, how to be innovative. So I pretend that I'm giving a keynote speech to a large audience using Facebook Live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about content for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I don't do that, it's because, well, if Mercedes sends me a new car, I would do a Facebook Live of the new car. Or if I'm at a conference, yesterday I was at a conference, this Project Time Off, and the speaker before me was Samantha Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And so Samantha Brown is this Travel Channel, world traveler who has her own TV show. So I Facebook Live her keynote. So in that case, I just put the phone in a tripod and start, right? And I just like walk away. But I'm always trying to get people to understand that when you watch my Facebook Live, you're going to learn something.
Right, right.
And it's not just me pimping whatever I'm pimping.
Right.
It's content.
Yeah. Content's king.
And queen.
And queen.
Hold on.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, you mentioned you've got 13 books. You've been an author. I really like your writing style. You've got a great way just getting to the point and keeping your prose really clean. And I really appreciate that in an author. And you get right to the meat of the content of what you're trying to teach about. So can you talk a little bit about what it was like to you to get going as an author? I mean, I'm sure that must have been a bit of a new thing for you when you started. You're kind of a pro now, but
Yeah. So I started in about 1987. At the time, I was CEO of a small Macintosh software company. I wasn't really getting along with the other co-founders. I was kind of miserable. So I sort of wrote this book, The Macintosh Way, as catharsis. And so I wrote this book about how I thought businesses should work based on what I learned in the Macintosh division. So that was my first book. That was received well. Then I wrote, 12 more books. God only knows how I came up with 13 books. I'm writing another book right now. And so about every 3 years, I decide to write a book. So I'm in the process right now of writing another book.
How's that process changed over the books? Like when you first started, were you just like taking like notes on a piece of paper and freeform? And now, do you do an outline now? Like what were you doing for the Macintosh Way versus what you're doing now?
Well, I'm a real big believer in Microsoft Word, believe it or not.
Ah, okay.
And I outline my book very, very extensively. My books are totally OCD driven, complete outline, everything. I spend months writing the outline, and then I just dive in and I just fill out the outline. I move lots of things around a lot. So the beauty of an outline is, you move one head and the whole thing goes with it, right? It's not cutting and pasting paragraphs.
Right.
And I just grind it out. There's no magic. There's no, there's no sitting on windswept beaches with a Mont Blanc fountain pen and smoking marijuana writing. I mean, it's just grinding it out. It is just, there's nothing romantic or easy about writing for me.
Do you
maybe other?
yeah, I'm a grinder as well. Like when I'm writing, I'm toiling over each sentence.
Yeah.
It's painful. It's painful.
Maybe Isabel Allende, that's how she writes, but that's not how I write.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have rules for yourself? I mean, I heard a lot of writers like to set a rule, like I'm gonna get 2 crappy pages done today,
Yeah.
each day. That's the rule.
And I should have those rules. I try to write every day when I'm writing a book. But inevitably, what happens is I get up. First thing I do is I check Facebook, and then I got to deal with comments and stuff, and I got to find new posts. And then I deal with email. Then I take my kids to school. Then I'm eating breakfast, answering email, and next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock, and I'm too tired to write. That's a typical day.
I think Betty can empathize with that. When you're coming up with, say, the next topic or something,
Yeah.
are you pulling from? I mean, obviously, you've mostly tried to teach lessons and what you've
Yeah.
learned in business, things that you think people are doing wrong or doing right, and why. What is it that you think are some of the key lessons that you've learned over the years about starting a business or
Yeah.
marketing a good product? What are the do's and don'ts that you kind of see as
Well,
key?
yeah, so some do's and don'ts. I think, first of all, you should never ask people to do something that you would not do. And uh,
As a leader, as a business
as
starter,
anything,
as
you should
anything.
not ask your customers to do it, as a employer, as a partner, as a customer, as anything. Don't ask people to do something you would not do. Of course, this assumes you're not some kind of psychopath, okay?
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, I think most companies, they lose sight of the fact that the goal is not to get funding. The goal is to get customers. And they think that, once you get funding, that's the hard part and it's all easy. I think that once you get funding, that's when the hard part really begins. That's the second thing. I think most companies scale too fast. I've never seen a company die because it could not scale fast enough.
Hmm.
I've seen many companies die because they scaled in advance of actually having sales.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a key difference.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, a lot of people say the opposite. If you don't grow fast enough, you're dead because you're gonna reach this inflection point where your costs outweigh you can't meet demand, and
I,
you're
I,
gonna.
I think that whoever said that never really started a company. Because you know what? If you have so many customers and so much support is necessary and all that, trust me when I tell you, you will figure out a way. Okay, you will figure out a way. You can go to any venture capitalist in the world and say, listen, we thought we would only be signing up 1,000 people a day. Lo and behold, we're signing up 40,000 people a day. Our servers are, they're like smoking ashes because so many people are using our servers. We need capital to expand. Let me tell you something. You will get funded. Trust
Right.
me. Trust me. That is a freaking high quality problem. That's a high quality problem. It's like, Andrew, if you went to your boss and you said, people can't get through to our e-commerce site. They're trying to buy, Wirecast so fast that the servers are timing out. Trust me, your boss will figure out how to fix that.
Right.
That is a much better problem to go to your boss and saying, nobody is downloading and buying our product.
We need more money.
That is a very hard problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think that that is an interesting, different take on that because I often hear people talking about the opposite when talking about trying to scale, and if you don't scale fast enough. So,
Well, as a startup, you're going to have to do things that won't scale, and this means, for example, think of the hours and hours you have spent helping me master Wirecast, right? So, if you look at that and you said, wow, if you had to spend so many hours with Guy Kawasaki, if you multiply that by 10,000, 100,000, a million, we can't scale. We can't scale Wirecast. But the fact is that, maybe most people aren't as stupid as I, so you wouldn't have to support them as much. Or maybe going through the experience of supporting me, you'll figure out ways to eliminate support for other people. Or by helping me, you develop such a big mouth evangelist for you that I will help you get more customers. So I know that when a company helps me, it's not scalable. On the other hand, when a company helps me, there's so much leverage in it that it makes sense for them. So, if you need a reference account, if you come out with a new personal computer and you have to send your engineers and they have to help a company, a Fortune 500 company, put it in and use it, you say to yourself, well, if 499 other Fortune 500 companies expect this level of service, we can't scale. Well, let's just cross this bridge when we come to it. So,
Right.
that's a high quality problem. Oh, 500 of the Fortune 500 companies want to use our product. We can't support them. Oh, God, once in my life, I would like to have that problem.
Right. I actually agree with that completely. When people are like, well, if we did this, we couldn't do that for everybody, so we shouldn't do this
Yeah,
first one. And it's like, I think we're counting our chickens before they hatch.
yeah.
Exactly like you said. We should all love to have that problem. Like, let's
Well, I
figure it
mean,
out when
it's
we
like,
get there.
if you open up a restaurant and your first thing is, my God, I don't think we can cook fast enough for all the people who are going to eat here. Maybe we should expand. Let's just like serve a few dinners first, okay? So,
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that completely. So that seems to come with sort of the typical Silicon Valley sort of cliche of the overconfident,
yeah,
underperforming, startup.
yeah.
That, and so I've heard that that's kind of a bit of an epidemic right now, in the valley a little bit. People keep expecting to get as much money as they want for very little to show. So is that something you're encountering in other areas in the valley? Would you agree with
You know,
that?
I, I never really encountered that anymore. I'm just not involved in investing I don't get involved in startups basically because my focus is Canva. And we're signing up tens of thousands of people every day, and that's all I care about.
Mm.
I'm not making angel investments. I don't care about angel investments. Canva, Canva is my path to wealth. So,
Well, that and I was gonna say I thought you were gonna say your passion, and I was gonna say your other passion is the San Jose Sharks.
well, yeah, I love hockey. I love hockey. I love paddle surfing too. I recently took up paddle surfing,
Ah, okay.
and I try to go paddle surfing at least twice a week.
So
Play
that's
hockey.
that's like the stand like paddle boarding where you're standing up on the large board. You've got
Yes,
you kind of canoeing but without the sides, kind of thing.
yes,
All right. What
yes.
do you go in the where would you go around there? You're out in
Santa
the
Cruz.
huh
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz. Ah, okay. Yeah. See, I'm that's my alma mater there. I love Santa Cruz.
You went to UCSC?
I did. I did.
Wow,
Yeah, I'm a slug.
you're a slug.
Banana slug. So, well, Guy, I think that we've covered a lot, and you've been really generous with your time. So I want to maybe just end with just a couple last questions for you, and then maybe we'll
Sure,
take a
sure.
couple questions from the audience and wrap it up.
Okay.
So, when you and let's kind of bring this back to the live production. What is it that you found is the most important part of running a live stream as far as engagement and engagement with the audience? Besides having good content, are there any things or strategies you would recommend to increasing engagement with a live audience?
Well, I would always ask people to tell you if the sound and video is good.
Okay.
I would
I've
always, I suggest you always ask people where they are. And all of this is building engagement, which means Facebook thinks it's popular, which means Facebook presents it to more people. So, you have to like foster interaction. I would say that. And then, yeah, certainly you should use Wirecast. I think one
definitely.
of the hardest things of doing live video is to get used to staring at this little green camera dot over there
Right.
instead of my face over there, right?
Right. Right.
So, you want to look at the person's eyes, but if you do that, then you're looking down.
Yeah.
So that is really hard. And I wish some computer manufacturer would just put the camera in the middle of the screen. I mean,
Oh,
I,
yeah. Yeah.
I gotta believe that's possible.
Right.
So just put it right there for better eye contact. It's very hard to remember. It's so unnatural to do that.
Yeah, I've got you on the monitors here, but I'm obviously having. I mean, we haven't gotten a teleprompter installed in the studio, although we're in talks with a good company maybe to get us one. And what I have to do is kind of mentally superimpose your face right on the front of the camera, and just pretend the camera is you. And
Yeah,
that's kind of a trick I've had to learn. So I definitely recommend that is don't stare at the screen. The more and the other thing, just watching my own live broadcasts and trying to take notes on what I could do better. I noticed that whenever I take my eyes off the camera and I start searching around for a Facebook comment or I'm showing something, it
yeah,
immediately feels less engaging to me as a
yeah,
viewer, even to my own on my own broadcasts.
yeah, yeah.
So eye
So I have
contact.
a question for you. So, and I think I know the answer. So Wirecast will support a shot from any USB device, right? So I could buy a Logitech camera and not use this built-in camera, and one of the shots could be this USB camera that I can do anything with. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah. And
Yeah.
actually, I was thinking about that when we were getting set up for the interview here. You're kind of having to move your whole screen back and forth to adjust
Yeah.
the camera position because you've got a MacBook Air or MacBook laptop. And that's kind of, that's handy when it's handy, but it's also frustrating because if you're wanting to look at the screen, but the camera angle you need is
Yeah.
like, you need the camera down a little more, then your screen's not going to be as viewable. So if you picked up a little Logitech USB camera, you'd solve that problem right away because you can adjust that camera
Yeah.
independently and have it sit right on your screen, and your screen can be at whatever position you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd recommend that.
Okay.
And they're not expensive. I think, $100 or something, and you get a really
I
nice.
think Logitech just announced the new one, right? It's the first time they've made a new USB camera in years.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna have to look at this. That's big news because I've been like, everyone's like, what webcam? I'm like, well, you've got the Microsoft iLife cameras or whatever, and you've got Logitech C910, C920, C930. That's it. That's all it's been for like 4 or 5 years.
you know what would be really great is if Wirecast worked with Mevo.
Yeah, actually, I'm talking with Livestream. I've actually
Yeah.
ran into them at the last trade show I was at. So haven't, I sent out some feelers there, and then we also had a customer approach us who's maybe going to send us a Mevo that we can test with because we would love that. I think the Mevo would be wonderful. And then you'd be wireless. You could use the Mevo, just on your desktop or wherever you want to put it, and then use your iPad controller to change the camera angles. So
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sweet.
that would be sweet. Yes.
So I'll see what I can do. I'm working on that. Um,
Okay.
all right. Well, Guy, let's see if anyone has some questions. Maybe we can do some audience questions, and then we will not try to take my eyes off the screen too much here. Uh, so, okay, this one comes from. Nilesh. It's hard to pronounce the names, but Nilesh, which tool are you using to grab Guy's video and then merge with your video before going to Wirecast Live or before going to Facebook Live through Wirecast? So, Nilesh, we are using. I mentioned at the top the New Tech Talk Show Skype box. It's basically allows us to. It's developed between Microsoft and Skype and New Tech to build a box, basically a great computer that can take high definition video inputs and outputs directly to and from Skype. And then it works on the Skype TX network, which is basically a more robust network that Skype built for higher quality video and audio, particularly for the needs of broadcasters and people who are bringing in remote viewers. So it's kind of a little bit of a nicer Skype machine. And then we pull that directly into a capture card into Wirecast and then mix it with my video and audio and Guy's video and audio. And then we push it out to Facebook Live. So hope that answers your question. They're great. They cost maybe a couple grand, but if you're willing to spend the money, they definitely have a really nice nice effect. All right, this one comes from Debbie. She hadn't heard of Wirecast until today. How would you describe the product? So, Guy, as our guest evangelist on the show, how would you describe Wirecast?
I would say that Wirecast is basically a software version of a production system for video. And as a software, it's sort of a management system, you create shots. and the shot is the unit. So one shot could be this desktop camera, another shot could be an app, another shot could be your desktop in itself, another shot could be an iPhone or smartphone device. Other shots can also be pre-existing video. And so you're acting like a producer and you're saying, all right, so run this commercial. Now, go to his face. Now go to his computer. Now run this commercial. Now, go to his iPhone. And so you're at this console and you're controlling the live feed that people see on Facebook Live. And it's all done in software.
That's a really good description. I like to say it turns your computer into a television studio. That's my boil down statement. And another one I heard recently is in America, and this came up because I was over in Amsterdam for the trade show. In America, we've always called video mixers, because all the stuff that Wirecast is doing used to be you'd have to pay $100,000 for a giant Grass Valley switcher, right. Those big boards, all these buttons and knobs, and it was all done in hardware basically. And then eventually, obviously software started to be able to do what hardware had only been able to do before. And so we always called those switchers, video switchers. Yeah. Video mixers, but in Europe they would call them visual mixers. So instead of an audio mixer, it'd be a visual mixer. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting contrast. Wirecast is kind of a visual mixer for the computer.
I like it.
All right. So this one comes from Ulysses, and he's saying he's been having trouble with copyrighted music. Particularly even on YouTube, even if it's playing on the radio in the background, they'll ban his stream. Have you?
Yeah, I asked Facebook about this because there was a time where I was in our Mercedes and I attached a Mevo camera to the windshield, and so I was trying to do carpool karaoke, right?
Right.
Like Michelle Obama and James. What's his last name?
James Rowan, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. Whatever. Right? And so before we did this, I asked my contact at Facebook, so, can we be just rolling down the street playing Adele? And she said, no, because if we listen to it and we hear copyrighted music on your Facebook Live, we're going to slap your wrist. So unless you've got permission from Adele to play her song while you're driving down the road, you can't do it. And so you got to make a track of royalty-free music. I don't know what else to do.
Right. Yeah, it's their algorithms are getting so good at just picking up noise in the background and matching it against copyrighted music. And then if they sense anything, they'll shut you down. Even if you did have a license, they probably wouldn't know it. So that's the problem. So they kind of shoot first and ask questions later. The only way around this right now is just to use royalty-free music or make your own music or something like that. I think. What you're saying?
I wonder if you sing a song.
Or play world-class polka. I've been enjoying a lot of your pre-roll music. You've had some good stuff on there. All right. Well, you guys, I think
who made that for me.
Yeah, did they specifically for your pre-roll?
Well, yeah.
That's awesome.
That guy's the world's greatest accordion.
I know. I've heard you say.
And then the opera singer is a friend.
That's great. That's what you got to do. You got to just do like Guy does, find some good musician friends and have them record some original pieces for you. That's a good tip there. All right. So looks like we got one more question. This one's from Lutz. It just came in. And Lutz, good to see you again. He was in Amsterdam. This guy's a great guy. He stopped by the booth, so it's good you're on the stream today, Lutz. You talked about Periscope. Do you plan on building in streaming capabilities to Periscope in Wirecast? And honestly, the answer to that is really if and when Periscope will accept an RTMP stream. So if we can do that, or if Periscope opens that up, then we will be able to stream to them, because Wirecast can stream anywhere that accepts RTMP at this time. And there will be some new formats coming down the road, as I think RTMP may be, not long for this world, but we'll stay tuned on that and keep you posted. But at this time, there's no integration. I saw one very clever workaround, and Guy, you might be interested in this. So what this guy did was he took his phone and he opened the Periscope app on it, all right? And then he put it on a tripod, and he pointed the phone at a vertical television screen that was playing his Wirecast feed. So he got all the Wirecast mix right into Periscope. And now, of course, you could do that, with this, because I think Periscope does landscape too. But he just pointed the phone at a really nice HD TV, and he was mixing Wirecast right in. He cut cameras. He did all this cool stuff. It was really slick. And I was like, how the heck is that guy doing that? And then he kind of pulled the camera back and he showed what he's doing. It was really clever. So, all right, with that, we'll end for today. Guy, I really appreciate your time. It was very generous of you to be with us today. Thanks for everything, and we hope to have you again sometime. And where can people find more information about you?
Well, Facebook, Facebook, my account name is just a 3-letter word. It's Guy, facebook.com/Guy. How many people have that? Huh?
Not too many.
So, yeah, so that's where you'll find most of my action. But I have to warn you that I'm a big Hillary Clinton supporter. So if you don't like Hillary Clinton, don't come to my Facebook site.
That's fair warning. You've been warned, politics aside. Well, Guy, appreciate you being here. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk with you later.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody. So that was our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. We're really glad to have you. And we hope you enjoyed this interview with Mr. Kawasaki. And if you want to learn more about Wirecast or what we do, head over to telestream.net. We have a lot of resources and stuff. You can download Wirecast for free and try it out for free. So that is a great way to get started with your own live broadcasts. We are here every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, and we usually will have a good show. We'll do power tips. We can show you things about Wirecast or the software and take questions and interview cool guests like Guy Kawasaki. So we hope to see you next week, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.